Okay, here we go. We're going to do our thing, combating consensus again this week. For those of you that don't remember or who haven't seen it yet, we're taking a look at three games where I think that the public opinion is off, where I think the consensus pick is wrong, and we'll provide some logic behind why that is. Last week we went 2-1. We picked the Jets to hang on at home against Indy, and they did as much. In fact, they won pretty impressively. We picked the Bills to go on the road to Arizona and win at University of Phoenix Stadium, and they did so, albeit on a strange turn of events with a massive kick followed by a missed chip shot, or what was at least a chip shot after a 61-yarder. And then we lost the game on a field goal with the Cowboys hanging tough all day against the Ravens and missing out on the end, maybe a bad play call, maybe bad clock management, and followed by a bad kick. Really wanted that Cowboys game. I felt good about the pick going into it, but last week was pretty wild all around. I think you could have picked two underdogs out of three, no matter what games you picked. But at any rate, we got 2 out of 3, puts our season record to 7-5. We're going to try to keep that rolling again this week. First game I've got is New Orleans. We have about 76% of the public picking them to go into Tampa and beat their division rival. Now, it's worth mentioning, I guess, that Aaron Cromer, this is his last game with the interim to the interim tag, so I'm sure he's wanting to end on a high note, and I'm sure the team's going to come into this contest prepared. They did have a week off, and they know a thing or two about Tampa after playing in the same division, even though things have changed a little bit with Greg Schiano now in as the head coach in Tampa Bay. New Orleans' offense is fine, and I understand people wanting to pick this team. They've got Drew Brees as quarterback. They're scoring 28.2 points a game, and really they haven't let us down a lot in the last few years. But today, they're a 1-4 team, and they're there for a reason, unfortunately. The offense is going to be fine, like I say. They're going to score those 28 points or so. I know they're missing Jimmy Graham this week, and that's certainly going to play a role, but Drew Brees has always had enough pass catchers to overcome that and to overcome a bit of lack of production from his running backs. So I'm not stressed about their ability to score points. I am worried about them on the defensive side of the ball, though, as we've all been this season. The week off isn't going to really address the issues. Right now, New Orleans is 32nd overall in defensive yards per game and 30th in scoring defense. Not where you want a team to be, certainly. And again, typically we'd have a little faith in them to fix that during the bye, but I think the biggest part of their problem is not the new scheme with Steve Spagnuolo. It's that the players don't fit it, and a week off doesn't help that. It's not going to change the personnel they have. It's not going to make them run the scheme any better. Maybe they'll improve a little bit, but still I don't think it's enough to fix some of those really deep core issues. They'll be taking on a Tampa Bay team who has improved on defense under Coach Greg Schiano, who we mentioned. Now, their home passing defense is still about 20th in the league, so again, Brees is going to get those points, but overall they are playing better defense, and I think they'll be able to get some key stops at least against Brees and the Saints offense, particularly if they don't have Jimmy Graham hanging around to go over the middle, make the tough catch, and help them keep the chains moving. Tampa does have those chain movers now. In general, they're improving. Josh Freeman's coming off a really nice-looking game last week against the Chiefs, and he's doing that because he has some diverse weapons. Vincent Jackson's stringing together a couple of nice games, but what's really great about his presence is it frees up some of the other receivers, and specifically it frees up Mike Williams. Josh Freeman's been smart enough to find him when coverage and when need dictates this season, and he's getting back more to his rookie season form and scoring a few touchdowns than to where he was at last year. So that's good to see for Tampa. It's good to see in this game, and I think you can expect to see that as the Saints work to try and take V-Jax away, things will roll to Mike Williams, and then when he gets hot, maybe it's back to find Vincent Jackson again. Then there's Doug Martin. The Saints are giving up 5 yards a pop, 5 yards a carry this year. It's not a good number. It's a first down every 2 times you run the ball, essentially, and they're also giving up 172 yards per game, which is it's a number that is well beyond. It's a full 100-yard rushing game between the top unit in the league. So they've got a long way to go on rush defense. And again, I don't think that's something they'll fix for the bye. The scheme is what it is. The players are what they are, and you're going to see them still struggle to stop the run. Haven't had a huge breakout game from the rookie rusher Doug Martin yet, and I'm thinking that this might be it. Might be a good chance to define himself against a division rival who the Bucs already beat at home last season, and who's got a leaky run defense. So I like the Bucs. I like them to swashbuckle the Saints a little bit at home this week and improve their record while really slamming the door on the Saints season, despite what the public's thinking here. So that's that game. Move on to another divisional matchup. In fact, all 3 are division games this week. We'll look at 69% of the public picking the Pittsburgh Steelers to take off, go to Cincinnati, and beat the Bengals. Now, this stands up in a lot of ways. Since he's had some struggles this season in general, and they've had some struggles within the AFC North. And of course, we saw that last week a home team, a home underdog, was able to hold serve and win a game in this division, and it was against Cincinnati. The Cleveland Browns beat them, the only team that Cincy's beaten in the division the last 2 years. And certainly Cincinnati's hoping that that trend holds this week and they find themselves on the positive side of it. And I think they're going to. Again, we can pick the Steelers because it seems like the easy pick. They've taken it to the Bengals over their history and certainly last year, and Andy Dalton struggled to win games in the division, but I think that's going to change this week. The simple fact is the Steelers haven't won on the road. We were in the position where they were a road favorite last week, and now part of that is the Thursday night game and the short week favoring the home team, but they went on the road, they lost, and they've done that 3 times this season. They come into this game injured. They were injured last week as well. They're down 2 offensive linemen. We've got the issue with Marquise Pouncey. He may play, but even if he does, he's going to be hobbled. And then they're hobbled with the guys running behind that line as well. Early in the week, we knew that Mendenhall wasn't going to play. Ike Redmond's out as well. They're going to be relying on Jonathan Dwyer and a committee approach to move the ball against the Cincinnati ground defense, and I don't like it. I don't like how that sets up for the Steelers. I don't like how that puts pressure on Ben Roethlisberger in passing situations behind a line that already yields a lot of pressure to opposing pass rushers. Cincinnati's defense, they're really middle of the tier, but they've been stronger at home than they have been on the road. And in general, they're improving now as the season progresses. Again, they're going to need to play well because we're assuming that Pittsburgh is going to be putting the ball in the air a fair bit in this one without their top 2 running backs. But they're getting better defending the pass. They're improving. Drake Kirkpatrick might get himself to the field this week as well. So I like the way that the Bengals defense is going to be able to come up with a few key stops of Big Ben and Pittsburgh's offense. Now their defense is a concern. They'll again be without Troy Polamalu, and they're going to be tasked with shutting down some really strong young receivers in Cincinnati. A.J. Green is doing a great job. He's really taking the league by storm this year, but they've got a pretty diverse passing attack as well, with 4 players over 18 catches this season, that being Armand Binns, Andrew Hawkins, and the tight end Jermaine Gresham. So there's a lot of options there for Andy Dalton, and I think he's going to be able to take advantage of him this week. A.J. Green probably draws a matchup against Ike Taylor, who got beaten quite a bit last week, got a few holding calls that he wasn't too happy with, got ripped up by the announcers on Thursday Night Football as well. I think it's going to happen again. I think A.J. Green has enough talent to take it to whichever Pittsburgh corner is put on him, and then I think the other options are going to do some work on the other side, and Cincinnati's going to be able to move the ball. With those 3 road losses that I've already mentioned a couple of times for the Steelers, they've all come when leading in the fourth quarter. They've blown fourth quarter leads, And I just think that's the trend, and it's happened 3 times. We see them on the road, and Cincinnati is prepared enough on offense that if they're trailing late, they're going to have to rely on their top pass catcher in A.J. Green, put the ball up in the air, and let him do what he does. He's catching it over every corner he faces this season. Had no trouble with Joe Hayden last week. I don't think he's going to have trouble with Ike Taylor this week, and that's why I think Cincinnati's going to hang on, win at home. So here we go, right into the third game now, not wasting any time. It's another divisional battle, as I said. This time I'm taking the road team. We had 2 home dogs. Now we're going to take Washington to go to New York and beat the Giants. 85% of the public on New York in this game. And the truth is, I'm not picking this game with a lot of conviction. I'm going to put myself in that 15%, but New York's played well enough that we can't just go ahead and pick against them. Certainly not at home against an inferior team. But Washington's got a good road record this season. They've won 2 games. They've also got a good record in tight games, in one-score games. They beat the Saints in an 8-point win. They came back late to beat the Bucs on the road, both of those games. And then last week, it wasn't a one-score game, but we saw the Vikings threatening to pull close late. And Robert Griffin put up some points on offense, put the team on his back, and ran with them for 75 yards and shut it down. So they've done well in close games. Divisional games tend to be close, so maybe they're going to do well in this one too. Now again, as I said kind of with Drew Brees, Eli's going to get his points, particularly against a Washington pass defense that hasn't been very good this season. Their pass defense leaves a lot to be desired, and Eli's got Hakeem Nicks coming back most likely for this one. He's got Victor Cruz who's continuing to play dynamic football this year, so there's no reason to think that they're going to shut down the pass attack. It is worth mentioning, though, that Ahmad Bradshaw, coming off 2 really impressive games, is going to miss this one. So whatever you think of Andre Brown and David Wilson, that still does affect their run game, can cause some problems for them. But like I said with Cincinnati, really, I'm looking for Washington to do enough just to keep this game close and then to work out some of their one-score road magic again, put the ball in the hands of Robert Griffin and let him wing it around, try to win the game. Remember, again, that the Skins have won 2 of those 3 road games, and then they beat the Giants twice last year, including a victory in New York, of course. And last year they had RG3 and out as a quarterback. This year they've got Sir Robert Griffin, as OCU Minora is referring to him. They've got reasons to win this game, and I think the Redskins do it because they've got a better squad than they had last year, and they beat them twice anyway. So maybe Mike Shanahan has the formula figured out, and now he's got better tools around him, at least on the offensive side of the ball. So there it is. We got 3 division wins, 2 of them home teams, 1 on the road. Remembering that we like the Giants to lose to the Redskins. We like the Steelers to lose to the Bengals on the road, and we like the New Orleans Saints to come out of the bye flat and lose to the Bucs. So Bucs, Bengals, Redskins, those are your picks this week. Let's see how it plays out, and enjoy another weekend of football. Thanks.